Mint. Who else? That's interesting. Ooh, Jacques. Hi, Jacques.
Hi.
But where'd Marco go? They just trying again. Let him get in. Mint.
There he is.
There's Marco driving a car. Hi, Marco.
What?
Hey, I don't know if you guys can see me, but I'm like no light here.
Right, no, I can see you. But are you near here or are you gonna be safely not driving?
I'm not gonna be driving now, so I'll be
Okay.
here.
Hi, Paula
Hello.
and Dolores. So
Hi.
we don't have quorum, so we cannot actually start the meeting yet.
Okay.
Well, we do have quorum, but I know that both I'm gonna wait a few minutes because I know that both Michael and Candace are on their way.
Okay,
We
good.
do have quorum. But let's say we'll start it at 7:05, whether or not they've walked in the door. Did you grab a
No,
change? You want one?
thank you. I thought. Thank you. These on so I can see.
Okay.
You have the nerve to be drinking some.
Yeah. Maybe you could heat it up in their microwave
Yeah,
since they had a microwave. Okay. Is that door still on?
I came in.
Well,
Okay.
there a big guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't started yet. I mean, we're on Zoom, but we haven't. Okay, 2 minutes.
We seem to be,
Yes, and they're mad at each other.
okay, oh, I missed all that, I saw people standing around. I
A
know,
little, yes.
was parents waiting to pick up kids or what, I wasn't sure. Okay.
I mean, there are parents here to pick up kids, but they're inside.
Who's the white car next door? Say,
Gavin.
Gavin? I'm behind him,
He leaves last.
okay, that's what I figured. You were, so,
Not,
just.
no, you know, it's not me. It's not my.
Yeah, I thought, well, maybe you have a loaner or something.
No,
Could have happened, right?
could have happened. One more minute. And then I'm gonna start the meeting officially.
I'm eating dinner.
It's a piece.
Maybe that's not all right, but you're welcome. There goes that New Year's resolution.
Right.
My motto has always been life is short, eat dessert first.
Yeah. A friend of ours, an artist, David Addicks in Houston, he had a minor stroke, but he made a good full recovery. It's his 98th birthday. And
And he had cookies for.
no, he'd like a beer. And his, partner wouldn't allow him to have a beer because he goes, you're not supposed to have alcohol. I go,
Okay,
"Just
well,
give him a beer, it's his birthday."
all right, it is officially 7:05, which is 5 minutes late. And although we are awaiting 2 UNNC officers, we do have quorum with 3 present. So I am gonna call this meeting to order. This is the meeting of UNNC's Executive Committee. My name is Laura Myers, and I'm going to share the screen with our agenda. And I'd like somebody who's on the Zoom side of this meeting to let me know if you can actually see the agenda.
Yeah, I can see it, but it's kind of small.
Yeah, I can make it a little bigger. Is that better? I can keep making it bigger. Except for then
That's better.
Okay, so basically, we're gonna review, welcome, call to order. We're gonna review the agenda. I'm not yet doing the roll call, and we can also do introductions, even though that's not here, so. Basically,
Where do I ask a question about the agenda? Under comments, public comments?
no, under number 1, review of the agenda, where it's just where we are. Did you have a question about the agenda, Dolores?
Yeah, I sent you and Paula an email requesting an item to be on the agenda, but I don't see it.
Ew, when did you, what was the item? So sorry.
Requesting to give Eric Aguiar a certificate of appreciation from
Yes,
us.
that's okay, we can discuss it under Vice President's report.
Okay,
And yes, we actually had some emailing going back and forth on that, but I'm sorry. It's been a little bit hectic, so. Oh my God.
it's okay as long as we discuss it.
Yeah, we can under Vice President's report, it's fine.
All right.
Or, any executive committee business. Okay, so on our agenda tonight is general public comments or announcements on any item not on the agenda. Executive committee business, including updates, and specifically a treasurer's report and vice president's report. And if we have them, but I don't think we do, any review and approve executive committee executive committee minutes, but I don't have any that have been given to us to approve. So we're not going to do that. NC elections update. A request to discuss item 5 is that our new council president, Marquise Harris Dawson, announced that there will be no more call-in comments at city council meetings. And so some residents are concerned that will limit public participation. Does UNNC have a position on this? The main thing on this agenda is number 6, wildfire emergency funding. I'm not going to read the whole agenda item out loud, but we'll be discussing, should we do any, how much should we spend, where should we spend it if, as we go through, if the answer is no, we shouldn't do it, we're not going to discuss where should we spend it. And then committee reports if as needed, and agenda items for the next governing board meeting. So that is the agenda. Are there any questions besides Dolores's? I'm going to stop the share on the agenda, and since we have a lot of people here tonight, I'd like to do introductions. Again, my name is Laura Myers. I am the vice president for UNNC, and I live in Angeles Vista. And I'm going to ask people in the room first to introduce themselves, and then people on Zoom.
Hi, I'm Michael Soderstrom. I am the signatory here, and I live in the Harbor Heights neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Chris Carlson. I am a member of the governing board. I'm the area 4 rep and a longtime member of the community since 1989.
I am Cheryl Johnson. I live in Jefferson Park.
Okay, and moving on to Zoom attendees, we'll start with Paula. But you're muted. Everyone can unmute it for the moment.
I'm sorry, I looked at that big red X, and I'm Paula Southern, UNNC president, and happy to be here.
Thank you. And Marco.
Hi, I'm Marco Ramirez, secretary. Live in the Jefferson Park area.
Okay, Dolores.
Dolores Spears, executive board member, and I live in Jefferson Park.
Okay, Jacques.
Hi, my name is Jacques, and I work for Studio 4LA. We're a high school recording arts program in the area.
And I don't know who JM Sales is, although I should, because you've been here before. Sorry.
JM Sales is Joyce Sales. I'm
Hi,
a native
Joyce.
Californian. Hi, Laura.
It's a long time
25
since I've seen you.
Yeah, it has been a while. I've been busy doing a lot of community stuff, which we're looking for partners to collaborate with. And the gentleman mentioned he works with the kids in the music department. We're looking for educational schools or organizations that we can partner with and do ongoing village wellness, art guard programs. But outside of that, I'm a 25-year Native Californian, 25-year West Adams resident, LA Care, Community Advisory Committee co-chair for Area 6, which encompasses where we are, and a semi-retired real estate professional. And the nonprofit that I work with is called Therapeutic Play Foundation. Its mission is social modalities to help with resilience, family empowerment, youth empowerment, children empowerment, and mental health services.
So Joyce, when you said Area 6, is that SPA 6? Or what's area?
DMH refers to it as SPA 6. LA Care is Regional Advisory Committee 6, encompasses the same boundaries as SPA 6, as LA County SPA 6, yeah.
Yeah. And Candace, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. Candace Jackson, treasurer.
And let me ask for Michael and Candace, when you talk, are you blocked by the computer? Do you want to?
No.
Okay,
Well,
a little bit.
I can see myself where it says UNNC.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Michael is blocked.
Do you see me?
No, when you talk, it's not a problem. It's just this.
Oh.
Laura, do the rules require that online people have their video on?
Not our guests.
Okay.
But, yeah, I mean, remember, this is executive,
Yeah,
so
just ask.
the members, so Paula and Marco should be on video. Yeah. So anyway, roll call. I'm gonna do that now. Candace.
Present.
Michael.
Present.
Laura is present. Paula has walked off, but we know she's present. Paula's there. And Marco.
Here.
Okay. So we're going to move on to general public comments and announcements. Anything that is not on tonight's agenda. And I will make the first one, which is that the homeless count has been deferred a month. So it is not it's not 2 days from now. It is in late February. They have not set a new date. It will require that we revote for our event because our BAC says date certain in January. Okay, and are there any other public comments? General public comments? Okay, moving on. Treasurer's report. Are you ready? Sure.
Okay, so I don't know if I'm supposed to do this now or wait for the wildfire funding.
Well, you need to tell us where we are in the budget.
Okay, so I was looking at the budget and I know that we have, we just voted to disperse our rollover funds. So this is kind of the general outline of where we are. So far for MPGs, we spent $2,700 out of a $9,000 budget. That's including the rollover that we voted to. So we have $6,300 left
In
In-
NPG.
Yes. That's with the money.
Yeah, I
Yes.
understand.
So we have $6,300 left. When you subtract the money that we already gave out for MPGs this year. So we have 3 pending projects that are asking for more than that amount, but we can adjust when those nonprofits come to present. So in the outreach fund, which is where the emergency money to donate comes from, we have a total of $7,639. Well, not a total, but that's how much our existing budget is once we included the rollover funds, right? So far in outreach, we've done $1,500 to West Adams Avenues. We have an iPad and the care package for the iPad for outreach to get more folks to sign up for a newsletter, and then homeless count is also part. Okay,
And that's
so
fine.
then, so that's $500 for outreach. So far for this year, outreach funds, we spent $2,423.15. So the total left in outreach without touching any money from anywhere else is $5,215.89. Now, last year, I know we don't have an outreach person yet, but last year when we had our event in the park, our fair, that was around $2,000. So I don't know if we're planning on doing that again, but in our budgeting, we just kind of talked about like maybe setting aside $2,000 for a community event, TBD, right? So after we set that aside, our outreach fund has $3,215.89.
What do we have for lunch?
So then for elections, the total budget that we had for elections was $4,500. And then that money was to be broken down into 3 phases of $1,500. So right now, we're still in phase 1, and you guys went to get printing.
Teresa handled it. I think it's just about $700, not 15. I don't think we're
Okay.
spending 15.
Right, so we're still just in the first phase of spending money. And so depends on how many folks we have sign up for election, but there could be some money that we can move from elections to outreach if we feel like we need. If we want to donate. If we want to donate more to help with fire outreach and emergency outreach there, we can move some money.
There's money to.
There's money to move. Now, my suggestion would be not to touch the MPG money, because we have folks that come to us in the spring, and 6,000 sounds like a lot, but we usually give in doses of like 12 to 2,500. So that could go kind of quick. So I feel like we should leave that money alone, and anything that we maybe need to adjust would come from elections, depending on how many folks we have sign up to run for an everything.
So, which we can discuss when we get, we can discuss it further, because we don't know if we need to do anything,
Right.
but, okay. So we're in good shape.
Yes, again, we have,
Now, did you take any look, because remember that like the storage got increased?
yeah, I did look at that.
Okay,
So,
and we're
so
still in
that's
good
fine,
shape?
that's in the operational part.
Right, and we had some contingency funds there.
Right, so yeah, so this is working on the budget that we voted for in December, that includes the road.
Okay, cool.
So we have about $3,000.
Okay, are there any questions? Was that clear on the Zoom side of things? Okay,
Sorry to have a nice PowerPoint this time.
it's all right.
I'll make it.
No, I think it was very clear, actually. You did the homework, so, all right, so Vice President's report.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I do have a question. It's not
Uh-huh.
really, not really budget, but it came from the budget. We
Okay.
have all of those, those flashlighty things or whatever those things are in the storage from public safety. What do we
Uh-huh.
do with all that
Wait, the
stuff?
flashlights or are you talking about the
crank radios.
crank
The-
radios?
The crank radios, yeah.
Yeah,
What are we gonna
yes,
do with those?
there are approximately 200 crank radios left. So if we wanted to, I don't know what the rules are. for-
Yeah, so the
yeah.
rules on the crank radios, Dolores, is we cannot give them away. Like when we have our booth at Ciclavia, we cannot give them. They are too expensive. So the deal we struck was that they would not be random promotional giveaways, but rather, you know, if you attend our CERT training or similar, I mean, we can
There
we
were
could create other
like
events.
There were special dedicated training.
So it would be a
for
part of
CERT.
something you receive.
And-
Well, the initial was the exact CERT training, but
Then there were other.
we can do things like
Like
that
that.
again over time.
What do you have besides CERT?
We've had some community preparations or emergency
Right, and-
preparation.
They-
Yeah, but I'm just
They
asking.
just can't be given away to random people at random outreach events. So we could give them to board members. I guess, maybe, if we all listen to an hour lecture. But they have to be associated with some learning endeavor,
An outreach.
essentially. It's an yeah. So. And we also do have flashlights, right?
I don't remember how many flashlights
Yeah.
we have, but I do remember the crank radios being.
Well, the crank radios are in inventory.
Yeah.
The flashlights are.
I know, yeah, that's why I remember that. I don't know. I guess we'd have to go and see how many flashlights.
I don't think it's.
Isn't Grace still have a committee that
Yeah.
that oversees that, so that should come from her committee, I would think.
I just don't want us to spend money willy-nilly and just have a stockpile and not do anything with the merchandise that we've purchased. There,
Already have. Thank you. Yeah.
Correct.
That makes sense.
Correct. It's just they gave us limitations. Joyce?
Joyce, you have your hand up. Oh, you have to unmute.
Yeah, you're muted. There you go.
Sorry about that. I was pointing to the wrong icon. Given the current disaster situation, is there some way that they could be donated to those in need that have suffered from the fire?
Well,
How do you determine who
Yeah.
has more need?
yeah, how do you, I mean, we don't have that many,
That's a big.
but I would say,
and we don't have anybody in our footprint that was affected by the fire anyway.
well,
No.
not in that sense. We certainly have people in our footprint who lost their jobs.
Well,
Mhm.
Okay,
Right, but not who lost their
Lost
housing.
their houses, yeah. Or their
Okay.
place of living.
In terms of just looking for.
So you meant,
I'm sorry, in terms of looking for
You-
things within our
Hang
footprint
on, Joyce.
where they could be meeting the criteria that the city put is possibly outreach to each of our school sites.
Yeah, I think we're not allowed. We'll have to check back. I mean, this was a very difficult thing to get approval
Right.
for purchasing. I think, given the disaster we just had, we could have another 2-hour Saturday morning disaster workshop and give them away, for example. That, you know, I mean, in other words, I think we have to be aligned with the rules they gave us. But I think people might be kind of interested in that now, you know, a little more than we were this
Last year.
8 months ago, so. And maybe a Saturday morning rather than a Wednesday night, I mean, so that might be that $2,000. You've set
I'm
aside.
not sure.
Yes. So,
I'm
Joyce,
not
in other words, we had a difficult time convincing the city to allow us to purchase them. And I do not think in turn donating them is part of the list
Well,
of things to do.
In response to you saying that you have to give some type of training, I'm not sure what the length of the training is. You're tabling at Cyclavie, can you, for those who may be unemployed or maybe people will come, Cyclavie gets people from all over.
Yeah,
So
we
maybe
were
people will
specific.
come and maybe, can I finish my sentence?
Sure.
Maybe at the tabling event at Cyclavie next month, like I said, I'm not sure how long the training is, but maybe like we'll give you this if you're willing to hang around for a half-hour training or something like that. I don't know if that could work, but that's a thought, a suggestion to incorporate the training.
Thank you, but that would not work. Just a half-hour training, no.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, see, interestingly enough, they specifically said we couldn't give it away at Cyclavia. I mean, in other words, we were gonna be tabling at a different Cyclavia at the time, but they specifically called out Cyclavia as a place not to.
Does not meet the city restrictions
Right.
that were placed on the purchase.
Did they give any examples of what would be appropriate?
Yeah, workshops,
Just, okay.
workshops. It becomes part, yes, a workshop.
Part of training. Okay,
Part
can
of
we
our-
move on?
One cycle.
Yeah, so we can keep going, I think.
Yes.
So Dolores, that's the answer. Where are
Thank
we?
you.
We're on Vice President's report. So Paula and I were requested both by you, Dolores, and then also by Teresa separately. If we could, well, you said put on the agenda, but essentially if we can have a certificate of thank you, thank you for your good work given to the Council District 10 deputy who was representing the UNNC area south of the freeway, Eric Aguiar, who has moved on. And we don't need to vote on that. It's a just fine thing. The real question is, will he or can he be in attendance at the board meeting to receive it? Teresa had asked for the same thing, but because the Avenues wanted to present it to him at an Avenues meeting. And I think we sort of ended up agreeing that if we're going to give him a certificate, it should be at a UNNC meeting with all the photo op that would be. And because it's all of UNNC and not just one part of UNNC who knows him. So then it became, who makes the certificates? And Dolores, we were wondering if you know that. I mean, how did we do that before?
It seems to me like I reached out to Eric to get a certificate the last time we got one.
Yeah, well, we can't do that. So this would not be a certificate from the city, it would be from UNNC. But what I don't know is, we've done this before, but it wasn't done by me. I don't know who created those certificates. And then I had this feeling that it might have been Sarah Longhenry who I'm just telling you how the conversations went. And then it was like, well, why aren't we giving Sarah a certificate also? Right? Because
that was one of my, I won't say pet peeve was too strong a word, but my concern, all the work that she did for us, and we didn't even recognize her when she left.
Well, because it was rather
sudden.
It wasn't sudden.
We knew she was leaving, but what she said in December is, I'm starting an internship in January, so I'll have to resign from the board. But when she got the email reminding everybody about the board meeting, she emailed me back and said, ooh, I've already resigned as of December 31st. It's like, did you?
Yeah.
But maybe she would come to receive her certificate.
Well, and even if she doesn't, we can send it.
Yeah.
We can mail it
we
to
should
her.
still have something.
So it takes me back to does anybody remember who made the certificates? So that, and if nobody does, maybe it was Raheem. I don't know, but we could figure. I mean, it was somebody who had skills.
What about Anne?
Well, no, I have a skill set too. It's just I don't have the template. How did we do it?
It sounds like a thing that you can just make on Canva, probably.
Oh, I thought they did it in design. If that's not the issue, do we have something?
We can't commercially buy certificates?
Won't have our logo.
Oh.
No,
Well,
we can make them, but I'm just wondering, do we already have it designed with our new colors
Oh, I
and
see.
logo, so that,
I don't think we've done one since we had our new colors and.
No.
so maybe we can ask Hunter. Okay, but anyway, the answer is yes, but we need to see if either one of them can come to the next board meeting. You know, I mean, we need to present them at board meetings where they are at. And
Well, if they
It's-
can't, maybe they can attend a Zoom meeting. We can, like Paula said, we can send it to them.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, come doesn't have to necessarily be come and eat
In
cake.
person.
Right, but I will say that Teresa did also say she'll buy the cake. So,
Hold on a
trying
second.
to have cake. Anyway, so that's the answer on that. Our attendance, back to Vice President's report, has been good. There's just one questionable training that I'm trying to get clarification on. So, because the person's been voting and maybe improperly.
All right.
And so that's my, Paula, do you have anything to report? I don't have you on the agenda, but executive
Yes.
committee.
I noticed that and I thought, well, good, because I don't.
Okay. There you go. All right. So the next item on the agenda is the neighborhood council elections update. So first of all, the filing period is extended to next Monday, January 27th.
And remind me, am I the elections person? Did that
You
end up
are,
falling on
and that's
me?
a technically you are, and that means in theory, the city clerk, Naima Liam,
Uh-huh.
if there's anything official she needs to communicate to UNNC, she would communicate it to you.
Okay,
He's-
does she know that? Or do I need to contact her?
I think you probably need to contact her. I've contacted her, but she's not being very responsive.
Okay,
And so moving on to this topic. So right now, I just checked the website. Right now, we have very few candidates, but we do have at least one contested category. So Area 5 now has 2 candidates with 1 official seat.
Hmm.
We actually know there's 2 seats in Area 5, but one's not on the ballot. Because Christopher Weed resigned after the ballot was finalized.
Hmm.
Let me finish. We have otherwise 3 people running for 7 seats at large at the moment. And 2 people running for 2 seats in Area 4. This may change, that may end up also being contested. And several of us sitting in this room that have not, well, Marco too, have not yet signed up to run. If we are, or Chris.
I want the committee to know that people have attempted both through the QR code and through Empower LA and through the UNNC Elections 25, and all of those do not open and let people register to be a candidate.
Well,
I
because
have
they're
that problem.
supposed to be registering at the city clerk. Or on the UNNC website, there's a link to the city clerk.
But I couldn't get to that website, could not get it to open.
You
Now,
don't know UNNC.org.
yes, I did, and that it was not working. Okay, and so I'm just giving you a heads up. I tried several times yesterday on the 20th. And they had already announced that the extension would be the 27th, and it was not opening. But that was my experience.
Okay,
May
well,
others be more successful.
Some on page 2.
right. Well, okay, so broken links or not broken links. At the moment, I'm not clear that we will have an election. There's a reason we're having this discussion. If we do have a contested seat, I think there is a small election. I don't think they just let it go if it's contested. I have not gotten a response to my email to our elections clerk, Naima, where I specifically asked her, you know, if somebody signs up like me, I said, like me, but sign up at large, and then at the last minute, January 26th, I noticed there's still 2 area 1 seats available, but that large is filling up, because I'm concerned about quorum. Also, I don't really want to be an area rep, but I could be an area rep. Am I allowed to switch? And I'm using the I word here, but that could apply to any of us,
Mhm.
right? And I haven't gotten a response back. I will say 2 years ago, they were not flexible, allowing people to switch or decide not to run, that once you were in, you couldn't go out. And that's why I haven't signed up yet, because I'm watching. I just want to make sure we have quorum come July 1, one way or the other. So, I'll do each seat. I don't care. I'm eligible for 2 seats. And Michael's
Hello?
eligible. I mean, we're all eligible for a couple of different
Okay.
seats. So, if we have a minor election or no election at all, it definitely changes our budget. Because we don't have phase 2 or phase 3. If we have a small election, we probably have that phase 2 where we have a phase where we want to have a candidates meet and greet, or meet your new board members and candidates meet and greet, and encourage people to apply for their ballots and vote. But I don't know that we'll need to have a huge effort if there's just not very many people to vote for. So, or only one region in which there's a vote. So that's the election update. Chris, is that what you want? She's trying to figure out.
Yep, I mean, I went to election and it wouldn't open.
Okay, so,
And the QR code, it said it couldn't be retired. There were several roadblocks, and that concerned me because other people might be encountering that as well.
And, excuse me, and this is going through our UNNC website?
I tried
We
to,
get to it from UNNC just now. I don't know about the QR code.
yeah, so Chris, are you trying from a computer or phone?
I tried from a phone and then I tried.
Well, you should not try this kind of thing from a phone. It has to be.
Well, I was out of the city.
No, I'm not giving you a value judgment.
but-
It tells me that maybe we need to put in our next e-blast
Yeah,
that you should use a computer and not a phone.
pathway is.
Hi. And
Will it let you use an iPad?
I'm going to find out.
Okay.
But I will say that even if you can log in from this.
Okay.
I know that it's really hard to access an Angelino account. So Chris, it went right through.
Okay.
From the UNNC website.
Okay.
Whether I could keep going and get into my Angelino account is doubtful.
That's where, it was
The
where it crashed.
Angelino account,
That's where
so
it was crashing.
so I feel like-
Yep,
if you don't already have an Angelino account, you have to make one.
Correct.
Cause it'll just, yeah.
Yeah, but for those of us who ran 2 years ago,
yeah, I have one.
then,
Oh.
well, you weren't 2 years ago, 4 years ago.
But I said. it.
Candace and I and Michael all have Angelino accounts because they had done it 2 years. So, okay. But that's the election update. I don't know. There's something else to say about it.
Yeah, question. Can we
Yeah.
see on the Empower LA's website who has filed?
Yes. Well, not the Empower LA. It's city clerk.
Oh, the city clerk. Okay, I was
It's the
looking.
city clerk, not Empower LA.
Okay, okay.
Empower LA's only role supposedly is to provide outreach.
Okay,
And in fact, they did give us a kind of nice piece of art that I used in the last e-blast. I used our artwork in the one before that on the MailChimp, and I used theirs in this one. I mean, ours is a little more compelling, but theirs was pretty good. So, okay. Next agenda item is this one about the call-in comments have been eliminated from city council meetings. Some residents are concerned that this may limit public participation in city council meetings, although it is actually still possible to either go down to the meeting and comment in person like before COVID. This is changes, just takes us back to what it was before COVID. Or to provide written comment in the council comments portal. But there's some neighborhood councils that are filing protests. Does UNNC have a position regarding this change? Do we want to write a letter? Do we not? I put it on the agenda. I don't actually have an opinion. I mean, I have an opinion, but it's not sure. So do we want to do anything with this?
My opinion, if no one else is sharing, is no. If this is if this is how we did it before COVID, we can just go back to that.
I would tend to concur unless anyone actively takes advantage of it from anyone here or constituents, then
Yeah, I would say that the only thing I could think of to put in a letter is sort of that we note we're really near to City Hall.
Right.
But we know that people who live in Porter Ranch or used to live in the Palisades, not now. I mean, have a much longer drive to get to City Hall,
Right.
but I don't know that we ever had any problems.
They
But
can
we're
still do
close.
written, right? They can still submit a written.
We can also, anybody can submit written comments through
Right.
the city council it's the city clerk's council comment portal. Anyone can.
Yes.
Okay, so
I would be of a mind to agree with, not specifically send in a CIS, but I would agree with that motion or that thing from the council president, because when you have people calling in, especially if it's a hot issue, it takes a long time to get through all of those people online.
Mhm.
It's
Right.
be hundreds of them, and it takes up a lot of city council time.
Mhm.
So I would agree that you either show up in person or send a letter in.
Yes.
and we can't do a community impact statement, cannot, because wasn't a council motion with a vote. So it's just he's council president, he sets the rules.
You have a
Well, I
question?
agree with that rule.
Joyce?
Am I allowed to comment just as
Yeah.
a community advocate?
Yes.
Sure.
My comment would be, and because I have friends who are affected by the fire, and there was a mention of coming from Porter Ranch, Palisades, some of those people lost their transportation in
Mhm.
addition to their homes. And people are really discouraged with certain aspects of what this fire has done. So I would suggest, just being a community person, to continue with the online and or the choice of going in person.
Yeah, they aren't online. The city council left online a while back. All they have is phone in at this point.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, right. Okay, so we can, what should we do? Doesn't seem like we have a lot of energy to write that letter. Okay, sorry, Joyce. I think we're not gonna write that letter at this time. And let me just say, I will go back to the person who requested this for the agenda who's not here tonight. And if they have real, passion for getting a letter done, I'll ask them to draft something. And we'll talk about it a month from
And
now.
hopefully to convey Joyce's comment.
Sure.
Yeah, because
Well,
if
that-
you don't have, yeah.
If you have no
Transportation, it's hard to come in person. That's
And
important.
obviously he made the change in rules before the fire.
Yeah, but maybe it needs to be revisited because new
Right.
conditions.
Exactly. So.
And
Okay.
maybe revisit, for a temporary time, possibly the city going back to online, because yes, people may not have their transportation. Yes, there's Uber, but people are in a state where, lost job, trying to regroup. So whatever can be done to make things as easy and accessible to continue community involvement for these people who've been displaced and probably have many more concerns than we would normally have. I would take that into consideration.
Okay. well, again, I will ask the person who brought this up to think about it more. And basically advocate themselves instead of making me advocate for a position I do not have, one way or the other. Okay.
I just want to make the final comment that it's not that you cannot make a comment.
Correct.
It's because you can still submit a comment, a written comment. So you can
Correct.
still notify city council through writing your comment. So this isn't a closed door. You can still make your comment. It's
Correct.
just, it would be in writing.
Correct. So, and let me just say, that's certainly what I said in the email to the person who asked me to put this on the agenda.
All right.
So-
All right. Let's not take any more time.
Okay, so here's the biggie: wildfire emergency funding.
Yes.
So during a declared emergency, and I can share the screen with the memo we got from Dunn in a moment. But during a declared emergency, such as and including the current wildfires emergency, neighborhood council presidents are authorized to purchase emergency services and supplies up to $1,000 without any prior board approval. And in addition, the neighborhood council may wish to extend more assistance, including support and contributions to local nonprofits engaged with relief efforts, or some of the citywide or Red Cross, international. I mean, in other words, we're not limited to $1,000. It does not seem likely, Paula, that you're gonna run out and spend the $1,000. We can spend as much or as little money as we wish at the board meeting. So I think this is, our agenda item is divided into 3 parts. Do we want to spend money on, the emergency, but also the recovery? I mean, in other words, do we want to spend money on this and not buying things, but rather supporting organizations, which seem to be more logical at this point. In another emergency, if it was hyper local, we might be doing Amazon Prime and getting blankets, right? But this is not a hyper local to us. And then if we do, how much and where do we get the money from? And then knowing how much, where do we want to spend it? With whom or how? So the nuance on this, these are not NPGs. This is the opposite of what we usually do. So even though if we want to spend money with organizations, we're likely going to want them to be 501c3 charitable organizations. It's an outreach effort. It's a contribution. It's not a neighborhood purpose grant. And that's what the city clerk has decided for this particular emergency. So, so any organization that we might want to
donate
support,
to or
well,
support.
I got lectured by our funding.
Can't use
We're
word
not
donate.
donating.
Okay,
we're not
supporting.
donating, we're supporting, we're contributing, but they will need to give us an invoice, not an application, but an invoice. I mean, we could identify them, but they were gonna have to approach them and say, this is how we want, to do it. They give us an invoice, and then we're gonna need to put it on each one as a separate funding item on the governing board agenda. So if we decide to do this and we identify 4 places with 4 amounts, each one will be a separate BAC, yay for you, but a separate item pre-printed on the agenda. And then the governing board can vote yes, no, or yes, but less money, but not yes, but more money. Can't do more money. They have to do that amount that we talk about here, or less, or none at all. So that's the trick of all of this. And I guess I should just open up the conversation.
Do we have organizations?
Well,
that,
I mean,
or we
I would
just-
say I've done a little research. I haven't done a lot of research. My little research is that, first of all, an organization we've been talking about partnering in a different way with, South LA Cafe, which has a nonprofit foundation, but we had been talking about maybe, having them put out our postcards for the election and maybe doing candidate meet and greet in their place at 4th and Jefferson. But they are also doing a huge amount of work through their nonprofit right now with the emergency and recovery. So I would say that's one organization that seems pretty obvious to me, and they're hyper local. We also have several, I will just call them animal welfare organizations right here in or adjacent to our footprint, who are doing a lot of work relative to the injured animals and the people who lost their homes and have no place for their animals. So that includes the LASPCA, which is on Jefferson. So what they did is they shipped their own animals to other states and then opened the doors. And thus far, they've been dealing with 350 animals. And what I've learned from actually my vet is that one of the veterinary hospitals in West LA is serving as a triage and then sending the animals to other places, including, it depends how injured or not injured. I mean, they're not sending hyper injured animals to other places. Camp, who we've donated to in the past, they have mobile clinics, and they have low-cost veterinary services at the former South LA shelter that is now the Jefferson Park Pet Resource Center on 11th Avenue. So they do low-cost veterinary there, but they've converted some of their mobile, clinics, vehicle vans to, again, caring for animals. So they're going out to Altadena primarily, but for people who can't afford veterinary care. So, and then the third organization that's, again, based right here is Angel City Pit Bulls, but what they actually did is partner with the South LA shelter, and just as SBCA shipped out, Angel City Pit Bulls shipped out the South LA's large dogs to other states. These were adoptable dogs, but shipped to, so that if animals ended up here, they wouldn't be, the ones who were already there wouldn't be euthanized to make way. So so that one's maybe a lesser.
Well, so what, Lori, you named.
So that's one category, but there's other categories. I mean, I just haven't done the research. I mean, I've been working.
You're right. Well, you did South LA Cafe. That's people.
Yeah.
And then all the others were animal.
I know all the others were animals. I'm saying I had a little bit of a focus. It's not the only thing we could think about. But I also thought about, it was suggested to us that we do, from Dunn, they suggested that we do larger organizations that have high ratings, including the firefighters nonprofit. And there was an article about them today in the paper, and they've raised $20 million. So maybe they don't need our 500, but I don't know. Chris?
I think it's important that we also keep the focus of UNNC and our mission, and think about, and particularly this is supposed to come from outreach. I think one of the things that we might look to do is, rather than just say we give this amount of money to this and it disappears, it would seem to me we might be better serving our community and building more community if we partnered with, say, a local entity that is engaged in recovery efforts, but did it as an event to actually get.
Can't do an event easily.
Yeah, it should be.
But
We can't, it's so hard to do an event.
I'm not saying we, the group we partner with.
It's really hard to get approval to use funds that are part of an event.
No, I'm not saying we fund the event, but we partner with a group that's trying to raise awareness and raise money And as part of our donation, we reach out to our entire UNC community to put the word out to see if our community, as individuals and various groups and organizations, want to come and co-participate, so that as a UNNC community, we give our community an avenue to do something collaboratively that has a common focus to help with recovery. That's what I'm suggesting.
Right, but what group would that be besides South LA?
We haven't got to the groups yet. I'm talking about process.
Okay, so let's be clear. We have to respect what they said we can do. And they've opened the doors to do something that we've not been able to do in the past, which is use outreach funds to help support other organizations who are dealing with this emergency. They did not relax the rules on how to participate in events. And those are quite difficult to implement.
I'm
did not-
gonna choose to disagree with you there.
Well,
In terms of what you deem difficult, but I see that you see it as difficult. I
Well,
see
Candace
it
sees
as
it.
Well,
pathways, but
so in order to, well, we could throw an event.
Well,
So
she's saying
I-
she doesn't want us to throw an event, she wants us to support an event, but the clerk sees it as the same difference. You know, in other words, we're either the sponsor or a sponsor. Either way, it's a 2-page, single space application file that there's a lot of boxes to check off. If there's any food there, it makes it even more difficult. And of course, if it's an event, there will be food there. Every vendor of food has to provide not just their insurance, but also a whole bunch of different certificates. They have to have a BTRC, which is business tax. They have to have health license that is current. But when I say
I've been in all the same meetings since it's been over. I'm just saying,
you haven't
we
been
should
in
think-
all the same meetings.
I've been to enough meetings to know those things.
Right, and-
including things with food. So, but I'm
And-
not talking about necessarily, it depends. I think it's worth doing a little groundwork to know who all is doing what.
Did you do the groundwork before this meeting?
No, only found out
This is the
today
meeting that we're.
to discuss ideas, and this is an idea.
And to discuss specific ideas to put on the agenda for our February
Definitely.
6th meeting.
Excuse me,
Let me,
can it be one person at a time? Can Chris finish her sentence before somebody interrupts her? I'm confused here.
Well, I will cede the floor on this issue, but
Thank
I have other comments about how we approach the money aside, because I do think that our mission at UNNC should align with what our spending actions are. And I was just looking for ways that we can get resources to a need and also be able to engage and build our community, build our connectivity, and give our community a path, a portal where other people could come and contribute. Because I know talking to people, I hear a lot of people going, I just would like, I want to help. And so maybe we could be the vehicle to help bring opportunities for our community to come together to collaboratively help. That's all I'm proposing.
but I don't know what it means
What we
in
have,
terms of our deadlines and the purpose of this meeting.
do we have I know we have a deadline for the 1,000. I think we already.
There's no deadline on the
Okay,
1,000.
then why do we have a,
Because we have to spend our money in a certain time frame.
right, but the deadline is not this month. We have,
Well, that is true, but we have 3 pending NPGs that we had to table. Because we need to find out if we're gonna spend money on this.
right, we can
Yeah.
determine the money. We can determine the amount and the money without spending the money while we do our research to figure out how. We can set
So
aside.
you're suggesting only making a decision on part 1 of this, which is yes or no, well, 2. Yes or no, should we spend money? And if so, how much?
How much of our budget? That, I think that's.
Just
good
do a
first
budget
step.
item and not anything else.
And then put a call out to our community to find out what because you're wanting, so you said something within our footprint. You know, we've got 4 here, is that,
Oh, well, I'm not suggesting that we support 3 animal welfare things. I said there are.
no, that's 4 suggestions, but there might.
No. I'm saying I would never suggest that we spend all our money on 3 different animal welfare things.
I just suggest you're suggesting,
Right.
I'm just saying, we could add to the
Right.
list.
But what
possible.
I'm saying is events, what, I know,
No, this is not.
I know, you're reading the same thing that,
Last.
right. So Chris, the problem is, we can't keep punting this, it
not
won't
a punt.
feel, well, it is.
If we vote for 2 out of 3 and then we set ourselves a month to come up with the 3rd, I don't think that's a punt, I think that's an organized approach.
Well, I mean, at least from my perspective, I don't know that there are any events that are around. And I don't know that our financial contribution is significant enough to merit there being an event.
Right.
Okay, so,
Okay.
so here's what the memos.
Okay,
So this is what we'll do. So let's work from the memo.
Yeah.
So they sent a memo out that further clarified what they sent out the week before that talked about
Right.
spending the initial $1,000.
And by the
So
way,
the-
this memo is in the agenda packet for anyone to read.
So the initial $1,000 were for actual items that people would need. So if you were in an impacted community or you wanted to buy items to distribute, toothbrushes, yeah, like toiletries and blankets and that kind of stuff, right? So
We're past that.
according to this, it says, the large umbrella Expand LA is overloaded with donations of food, clothes, sleeping bags. So those are the things that we would have bought in the initial week that they are saying that they don't necessarily need as much because the outpouring has been a lot. So in the guidance that they kind of gave, it basically says, if you want to, donate to
You know what?
organizations.
Why don't I share this document
Yeah.
so everyone
Yeah.
can see it?
So if you want to organize, if you want to donate to an organization, partner with a larger and established like Red Cross, World Central Kitchen, California Fire Foundation, in order to assure that your contributions are directly going to a large established nonprofit that will get it directly to people who need it and don't get wrapped up in scam. So that part we understand. So
Where are you on this?
That would have been my recommendation.
yeah,
Jack.
so the thing is, looking back at what I suggest that we do to still hold money for a UNNC event that's not related to this, we have about $3,000. I know South LA does great stuff with the food giveaways and so forth, and they've already been.
And they do it already.
Yeah, and they already do it. So if we find nonprofits that are similar to South LA, we could maybe just do that, or we can just
Why
make
wouldn't
it.
we just do South LA?
I was just gonna say that. We know that they're doing good work. We know that they're in our footprint. We know that they are doing outreach. So why don't we just give like 1,500 to South LA and then the other half to the folks doing work with animals?
Or
Another
Or
nonprofit.
American Red Cross. or-
Right, or we just wanna make a monetary donation to one of these, like World Central Kitchen. I know that they were sponsoring food trucks to go out to places and give folks food who are
See the
displaced.
firefighters.
But yeah, so that's what I'm saying, so these are like the guidelines
Mhm,
that
okay.
the city gave us to follow as far as.
Dolores has her hand up.
okay,
Speaking of South LA, I know they've been giving out food, but they also put out a call for socks and t-shirts and other items for the prison firefighters.
Ah,
Correct, I saw that.
correct. And they've been packing them up. They've been doing weekly, first it was daily and now I think it's once a week, back to once a week on Wednesdays, where they're asking people to come and help them pack things up. But we won't have the ability to give this money until after February 6th. If they take credit cards, we could get to them pretty quick, but I think even a check would be pretty quick.
Right, so say we wanted to, if they need where they need socks and t-shirts and stuff. I feel like that was on the list. And we
Well,
wanted to just buy $1,000 worth of socks and just donate it. That's the thing that, and
Well,
our
that
president.
we could do
Our
now.
president
could do
approves
it.
of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was more than, it was more than socks. It was t-shirts, it was
Right.
hygiene items like soap,
Yeah.
and razors and toothbrushes and stuff. So
Yeah, so
yeah,
that's-
buying a bunch of stuff, I like that.
Yeah, so that's covered. So we can buy a bunch of toiletries, socks, that kind of thing. That's covered under the initial $1,000. And if we wanted to do that.
And then we just put it on the agenda as a after the fact.
Right, and so if we want to do that and then just deliver it to South LA, I'm there doing working from home all the time. So if we just wanted to.
On that,
deliver
I thought we approved at our last governing board meeting that could happen and.
No,
Paula
we
could-
can't, we have no approval ability.
Right,
It's
that Paula,
automatic.
that Paula would automatically.
Paula
Yeah.
would have to agree to this scenario. I'm
Yeah,
gonna take
right.
down the share.
That was my understanding from our.
But we still have to know where the money's coming from.
I think it was just picking the order.
Yeah.
But if we decided that's what we want to do, then we could just do that and bring it to the board and say, hey, we did this. Now we have potentially $2,000 more if we would like to.
Right. I like all of that. I like this 1,000 going towards the hygiene, the socks, the t-shirts,
If they still
And-
need,
and we can do
if they
that
still
now.
need them.
Oh, yes. I thought they did. Okay, so that needs to be.
In a
confirmed.
week ago.
It's a fluid situation
Yeah.
because donations
Yes.
come. So, yeah, so we check.
What I could do tomorrow, cause I go get my coffee from there in the morning before life gets.
And you do the one on Brownie?
I go back and forth.
Okay.
Maybe I could reach out. And just say, hey, what do y'all need? I'm from the neighborhood council. We have money to
Yeah.
spend up to $1,000. This is the acceptable things. This is work for you. And then that way. We can know if it.
All right.
And
Good
That's
intel.
good.
Good
Yeah.
intel.
All right, so it's up to me. I can spend it, right? It
Yes,
says I can
yes.
spend it with no approval.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm saying that we go ahead, at least for this 1,000. Candace finds out what they need and we do that.
Okay, so now here's where it's confusing.
Okay.
If what they actually need now is money,
Can we still give them just 1,000?
that's my question. Do you think this allows?
Let me go back and read
Yeah,
that if a monetary contribution is okay.
yeah.
If they say no to that, I'll go back and read to make sure we don't mess anything up. If that's the case, where they're just like, no, I'm running the money. Then what we could do is just say, hey, South LA's in our footprint, we want to help, they're actively helping.
We're partnering and.
Right. $1,500 is more helpful than a bunch of socks.
But the
and this figure.
1,500 would have to be.
But that's
voted
the
on at
thing we
the
would have
board.
to approve.
We have a question from Joyce.
Joyce,
A lot of the organizations that I have worked with,
Mhm.
the clothing, the food is extremely excessive, and it is a matter of the hygiene. But they're also requesting gift cards.
Ah,
And with regard to the hygiene items, I hear, the toothbrush, toothpaste, body lotion, soaps, but I haven't heard anybody say combs and brushes. So
What
I would
Joyce, I didn't
just-
mention it, but there were, I just mentioned a few of the things that they were asking for. I didn't mention everything.
I have a question. Hi, Ms. Joyce, this is Candace. Since you work
right,
with
but
organizations.
that's what I'm saying, Dolores. In the list of stuff that I've seen, there's never mention of comb and or brushes. It's
Maybe
always
they didn't
the
need 'em.
soap, the toothpaste, the toothbrush,
hmm.
the pads. Yeah,
Pads
so just
as in
in
sanitary
addition
napkin?
to,
Mhm.
Hi.
I've worked over the last couple of weeks, sanitary napkins. Yeah,
I don't
Right.
think you got women out
razors,
there.
you know, for the men, shaving cream.
Words.
Well, razors, men, women, shaving
so-
cream, men.
Mhm. Joyce, two questions, and one is if you have some specific organizations here that are doing that, but the second question is, I mean, you mentioned that they're asking for gift cards and then all these items. In the end, what I'm interpreting all of our instructions with $1,000, we could buy stuff.
Right.
But if otherwise we're donating to an organization and they can use the money to buy the gift cards, or if the next week they really need shoes. You know, I mean, in other words, this is an evolving thing. People
Right.
escaped with the clothes on their back. So initially they needed underwear and more clothes for their backs and toothbrushes and hairbrushes and all that. That may have been fulfilled by now, but they need diapers because that need never goes away if you have babies. You know, that need keeps happening. So so it sounds like what they're saying to us now is we can buy stuff. So South LA, what just happened?
I know, just.
It
So
just
that's
went away.
$1,000.
But if South LA says, you know, we really need this, and this, can you buy it for us on Amazon Prime and use the UNNC credit card and then deliver it to them? Yay. But if they say at this point, we really need cash, then I'm not sure we can do the $1,000 that way.
Mhm.
That we'll have to check with Anna.
Mhm.
Meaning, can you just use your credit card on our website and donate 900? Since you're using a credit card, there's gonna be fee, you know, in other words, can you donate up to $1,000 on our website? Yeah, but I mean, we have a credit card, but I'm not sure we can do that. That we'll need to recheck with our funding person.
Okay, so where are we now? What are we
Well,
gonna do?
she's gonna go to South LA Cafe. She's gonna try and have face to face, and they're probably gonna tell you to contact Cecilia, who probably won't be standing there.
Sometimes she is.
Sometimes she
I don't
is.
insist-
Okay, keep it moving.
And she's so Candace is gonna find out what they need like right now.
Okay.
And does it fit our thing? So otherwise, we're gonna take to the board. It sounds like, are we thinking that we want to adjust our budget so that a total of 3,000 would end up going for wildfire recovery on this fiscal year?
Including.
I think
1,000.
so, yeah.
Including that
Yeah,
1,000.
okay.
I mean, adjust the budget.
Yeah, because the 3,000 doesn't require us to then shuffle money. from
Correct.
anywhere. So that 3,000 is a good.
Okay, so that would be so essentially, we're gonna find out from South LA. And we are gonna adjust the budget, but we're not donating at this moment in time to anybody else.
Can I make a motion that we?
You can't make a motion, but you can tell us what you'd
that
like
we-
the motion
that
to
we
be.
approve that 3,000, including the 1,000, as being what we are gonna allocate. And then we work out the details based on changing until it comes.
Yeah, we don't need that motion,
Okay.
because what we cannot do is sit at the governing board and have this conversation again and then somebody
Right.
spend the money.
But don't we have to take something concrete?
The concrete thing is, whatever we discover on South LA, we at the moment decided 1,000.
Yeah.
And we'll try and spend it before we get there.
Right.
Right? And if we can't spend it before we get there, because we discover that what they want is cash. And the only way we can give them cash is to have a motion. We'll take. Oh, well, that's a question. Are we then taking 1,500 to the governing board out of the 3,000? Or do we stick to 1,000 since that seems like easy?
It can be 1,000 if we want to think of it in terms of maximizing who we're reaching. We could just give each board that we work with $1,000, and
Okay.
however they
Right.
decide to.
All right,
Use
so basically the two agenda items will be a budget adjustment to put $3,000 total for wildfire emergency and recovery efforts. and 1,000
Of that,
of that to South LA Cafe.
Yeah.
And the others would be pending future decision making.
Is this
Is that-
out of the outreach budget?
Out of the
Yes.
from the outreach budget, but allocating specific. So we still would need to vote subsequently for other not donations, other contributions.
Right, and the 3,000 is not an up or down vote, that's negotiable, up to 3,000. So if Hunter was like, wait a minute, I've already planned all this, well, then we
Yeah.
can adjust that.
It's up to.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
I mean, noting we don't have an outreach chair. We don't have an outreach event planned.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it is getting towards a time that it would be really not very possible to plan one.
Right.
In this fiscal year. I mean, an outreach, unrelated outreach.
Are we, what are we doing the 1,000 now? Or,
Well,
No.
you can, she's gonna find out if they need stuff right now, or if we can give them, if we can contribute the $1,000 via our credit card on their website, if we're allowed to, is what I'm saying. Then we'll do that in advance of the board meeting. The board meeting's
or-
not very far away.
Right, and or if they do need more socks and t-shirts. and
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. We'll figure out how to purchase
Yeah,
it
this
using
will
the credit
communicate.
card.
Okay.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
can do that before the board.
We can do the $1,000, we can buy stuff without further ado, but we don't know that they need the stuff anymore.
Right, exactly. Okay. So first thing is Candace is gonna find out. Okay.
So
Yeah, so
Candace is
I'll
gonna
find out tomorrow. If Celia's not there, oh, excuse me, if Celia or Jill's not there, I'll try a couple times
Right,
before the week is out. I'll catch somebody. They're there all the time.
right.
Okay.
Well, tomorrow's Wednesday.
Oh,
That's the big,
giveaway
that's
day.
the day.
Yeah.
That's the day they pack stuff up. Okay,
Question,
yes.
if we're gonna buy stuff, is it possible we could focus on buying it from businesses that are in our city rather than Amazon Prime where money is leaving our city?
They have to take credit cards and they have
Many
to
of
be
our
access.
companies do, like Target, but you know, would, I mean, I think we might, I'm just saying it'd be nice to, support our community, both in our purchase and in our donation.
We can.
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Well, talking we
Oh,
is
your
me.
card.
We, the card holder doesn't have a whole lot of time to go running around town identifying places to buy
Take
things
orders.
from.
Would Chris volunteer to do that?
Well, she can't
I
use our credit card.
No, but I can help
No,
find,
but she can find the places.
Yes, that would be a good idea.
but let's
Well,
start
let's
with
see,
what
find
South
out what
LA
they
is sourcing,
really
they
need.
have their own sources.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, for all we know, that what they really need are the canvas bags that they're delivering stuff in.
With the UNNC logo. Yeah.
There's that outreach.
No. Okay. All right, so I think this path is clear, a little clearer than mud anyway.
Yeah.
So, okay, committee reports, if or as needed, are there any committee reports? We have any committee chairs besides myself present? No. Agenda items for the next governing board meeting. So aside from this, we will
What's
not,
this?
aside from wildfire, this conversation we just had,
Okay.
and what those agenda items are. The planning and land use item from the last meeting may not, no, I mean, I think I will not know until, for sure, until January, the last Friday of January. But it sounds like the planning department's not releasing that case for hearing yet, so we have a little more time to revisit it, because I really don't want to have a 45-minute discussion about wildfires and another 45-minute discussion on project on Jefferson Boulevard.
For the people that were not here before. what about-
We have a 2800 West Jefferson is a proposed mixed use, but mostly apartments, housing.
Is that the one on Lathan?
where the auto body stuff
Yeah,
is.
3 lots, yeah.
Yes. And we got mired where we had board members who said they didn't feel they had enough time to review the materials. And yes, I rolled my eyes because they didn't come to planning and zoning, so.
And some people had problems with some of the proposals.
Well, yes, but more people have problems with I can't make a decision yet, this is too hard. Because, so we have to have another planning and zoning committee meeting and then another stab at it at the board. And yes, I know you don't like it. I know you hate it. But we do have to approach these things from what a neighborhood council is supposed to be about.
You have to appear to care.
Well, no,
okay.
not just that, it's like what's discretionary and what's not. But anyway,
Yeah.
but
Other agenda items for the
that's
board?
what I'm wondering, what are the other agenda items? Yes. Do we have an update for? what-
Do we have an update?
Well,
Well, the only update that I have is demolition signs went up. They applied for demolition.
really, despite the council motion,
This is for
38.
3814 Adams. Yeah,
Okay, so,
How
so
does
I,
that work?
well, the city council. It's, this is another one that's not clear. City council did take an action to re-review the whole project, so they shouldn't be
So they're
able,
gonna,
they should not be able to do demolition. Yeah, have people moved out? Or are they still
yeah,
there?
people have moved out, but no, the same people that were there 3 months ago are still there. The problem is that on the demolition that they posted, and the one that I got in the mail said, we're just letting you know, but there's nothing you could do about it. So letting you know,
Well, that's a normal notice.
Yeah.
But that's
Oh,
all those notice, the demolition, the thing you got in the mail.
yeah,
That's standard language.
but that I can't do anything about.
It says you can't do anything
They
about it.
said that because of what it's under, the ED1 or whatever, the reason why they're able to put a 6-story building up is there's nothing you could do about it because
The notice says that.
the notice said that.
Oh, that's interesting. I will,
And I mean, the notice that I got in the mail says that.
from
and-
building and safety.
From building and safety, and then they
Oh, that's
posted, they like blew it up and put it on a wood stick
Yeah,
and
that's,
stuck it in the
that's a
grass.
normal requirement.
Yeah,
Okay.
and now they have like no trespassing signs on there.
Who's saying goodbye?
Dolores.
Bye, Dolores. Okay,
did they send you the owner's name and number so you can call them directly?
well,
I have the owners, all of his information and where he lives and everything. But
I got that in the mail.
okay, so we'll have to put this on the agenda at planning and zoning, and then if there is something to say, we'll put it on the governing board. I just don't, I mean, I'm confused because I thought it had been halted.
If you can come, please bring a copy of that notification to.
Well, in theory, there's one in our PO box,
Right, but
UNNC's.
so everybody in the neighborhood got it? No,
No, but they're required to notify the neighborhood council, so I haven't looked at the PO box
yeah,
in a week or two.
and when I called, it had not been approved yet,
Correct.
but it's in.
It's I mean, the normal thing is a 30-day notice that might be more than 30 days. And it generally says, don't call us, call the applicant.
Right, it does say that too. Yeah,
that's what
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
for
because
Christmas.
you've received one of those too.
Yeah.
Oh, for that address
No,
or the
different-
Jefferson?
Different.
Jefferson,
Okay,
yeah.
so I don't know if it'll be an agenda item or not, Paula, but I'll try at least a follow-up. So that's still planning and zoning. I was saying, does anybody know of any other agenda items, not just land use, because that I can figure out. Yeah, because we're just gonna do another budget adjustment.
I have a question.
Sure.
Not something for the agenda, but how do you get the city to do like a handicap spot on?
Oh, I don't know. Why don't we
Okay.
talk about that when?
Okay, sure.
Yes.
Because We're digressing from the
Street-
agenda.
I think you reach out to street services, there's an application.
Okay, but can we talk about when the
Okay.
meeting has been adjourned?
Yes.
Thanks. Paula, do you have anything that for the governing board
Governing
agenda?
board.
That's not the normal,
No, not that I can think of right now, no.
okay. And so Marco, however, will we have minutes? I mean, we'll have a lot of minutes
Yes.
to, right?
Yeah, so that's gonna take up
Take up a chunk of time.
yeah.
So we're gonna try and have, if Eric and or Sarah can come to the meeting, then Teresa will buy cake. We'll have a little thank you ceremony on the agenda.
Okay,
And okay, so I mean, we'll discuss, but you guys let us do the agenda, even though we didn't approve it tonight.
When is the meeting?
Thursday, February 6th. Is that right?
yes,
Yes, Thursday, February 6th. And the planning and zoning committee is Wednesday, February 5.
So, very fun.
Oh, okay.
Night before. So this will be on the agenda, there just may not be anything to say at governing board, because we won't, the agenda goes out before that. I mean, okay, anything else?
no, thank you
All
all.
right, let's adjourn. It's only, well, it's 8:30, that's not horrible.
Yes, 8:27 PM meeting.
8:27, we adjourn.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so I'm going.